tensions between African Americans and the police are nothing new in this country, but it is. The question is it getting better or is it getting worse? And we're joined live from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina by Nsenga Burton. She's the founder and editor-in-chief of the Burton Wire. It's a news site covering the African Diaspora. And she's also a professor in the Communication and Media Studies Department at Goucher College, that's in the state of Maryland. Let me start with racism. It's something that a lot of black parents say they still have to talk to their children about. It simply can't be ignored. As a result, would you say black children are raised differently in the United States than, let's say, white children?
Absolutely. Black children face a number of difficulties that, and I would say black and brown children, children of color in particular, face a number of difficulties that many other children don't have to face, such as representations in media, distorted representations, the idea that black kids are aggressive or violent. There's been research and studies that have shown that black children are tracked in schools because of behavioral issues and things of that nature. So yeah, I mean, you have to have real conversations with black kids, especially teenagers, about how to deal with police officers or what to do when you're confronted by a police officer, because it could really result in their death or demise.
Let's talk a little bit about the hard numbers, because we have some. We've gotten these from the FBI, the top U.S. law enforcement agency. I know that this probably won't shock you, but it does track the number of hate crimes committed every year. The most recent stats come from 2012. And nearly 2,300 black people reported being the victim of a hate crime. That is 3 times as many as whites. And the number of American Indians or Asians who say they experienced a hate crime, that number obviously in the hundreds. So what does it say about American society and how far it needs to move, would you say, in this direction?
Well, it says that we haven't really moved very far. I mean, we like to pretend that we live in a post-racial society, but the numbers show otherwise. We're still very much disliked and much hated. And people think because popular culture like music and movies and things of that nature are widely disseminated in terms of black popular culture and consumed and disseminated, that means for some reason that black people have kind of transgressed this boundary of racism or being victims of racism. And that is one of the problems that I've written about extensively, is the fact that black people in general and black children specifically are not seen as victims even when they are being victimized, such as the case with Trayvon Martin, such as the case with Jordan Davis, such as the case with Michael Brown, such as the case with Renisha McBride. You know, they cannot be victims. So it speaks volumes about race relations in this country and about what black people face on an everyday and ongoing basis. And this is happening throughout the country. It's not just in the South. It's not just in the Northeast. It's not just in the West. It is all over.
You brought up Michael Brown. Well, that's who we're talking about now. You also mentioned Trayvon Martin. Do cases like this, I mean, they get a lot of media attention, but do they move the needle at all?
I think that what's happening is that people are starting to actually become more active against this type of thing. This is common knowledge in our communities. Mike, you raised a very good point. We do have to have these different conversations with our children about how to interact with the police. So I think that when these cases become high profile, such as the case with Michael Brown, Jonathan Ferrell, you then have people talking and having dialogue and really trying to get at the root of the situation. And people have to also understand that these cases, these high profile cases, are not like stereotypically, you know, things that are happening because people are doing something bad. Trayvon Martin was walking home from the corner store. All right, Jonathan Ferrell had been in a car accident and was seeking help. Renisha McBride had been in a car accident and was seeking help. Michael Brown, who we recently learned from an eyewitness, a guy who was actually walking with him when he was, you know, had the altercation with the police officer, was walking home. He was he was a few blocks from his house. These people are not, you know, engaging in some type of behavior that would even require police involvement. So we also have to ask ourselves, why is it that people are okay with involving themselves or policing black and brown bodies? Jordan Davis, listening to his music loud. What teenager does not listen to loud music? Should you die for that when you're listening to loud music in your car?
Well, let me ask you about this particular police department involved in the shooting in the state of Missouri, because the numbers there are pretty striking as well.
Right.
Blacks account for 86% of traffic stops in that city. 93% of those arrested in traffic stops are black. I know you said that we're seeing this issue across the United States, but those numbers are very alarming. Is that indicative of what we're just seeing in that city, or is that can that be translated across the United States as well?
Translate it. Pick a city with a large black population, and that is the case. Look at the stats. I urge you to look at the stats and look at scholarly articles, research, scholarly, fact-based, researched articles on this information. Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Detroit, Michigan, New York City, Oakland, California, Houston, Texas, Memphis, Tennessee. I mean, you could just keep going. Atlanta, Georgia, keep going. And each city that has a large black population, you have these disparities. But we also know that we have racial disparities in the numbers of arrests. We're battling over racial profiling as it relates to black and brown people as well. So, you know, this is not new. The reason that it keeps happening is because we haven't gotten a handle on these different policies, public policies and otherwise, in addition to these stereotypes and broad stereotypes with which black people are painted, which informs how people interact with us. You know, why is it that if I ask for help, I'm met with a gun?
We're going to have to leave it there.
Can I ask for help?
It's a provocative question, and it needs to be answered here in this country, no doubt about it. Nsenga Burton joining us from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Thank you.